Welcome to number 20 of Getting Started this autumn. And we're going to keep going with something that we've been trying recently, which is to get other people involved. And this time we have a representative from EFMD Global Network asking some questions. First of all, I'd like to introduce Dr. Keith Pond, and I'd like to thank him for approaching me and asking me to write an article for the EFMD Global Network website on a new business model for the business school. And that forced me to think a little bit about some of the stuff I've been talking about, and particularly to look at the question of what does the lecture look like under new scaling rules, and what does face-to-face teaching look like under the new scaling rules. So let's let Keith talk for himself.
You note that the business school model needs to change. What benefits can business schools expect if they go wholeheartedly and change the business model in the way you suggest?
Thanks, Keith. An interesting question, and I think I'd like to answer it in two ways. First of all, to say we've got to change. So our choice really is whether we try and firefight, the platforms are light, do we try and put the fire out? Do we try and douse it? Do we try and control and get back to where we were, which I think is what a lot of, at base, I think that's what a lot of activity has been about in the last year or so. Or do we try and use this as a launch platform? Do we light some fireworks? Do we light up the sky with something that is spectacularly different using the fire that's destroying our platform at the moment? And perhaps that's an awkward illustration, a metaphor, but I think it's really important. We have a choice to redesign our education system, to think in terms of what students do on their own, what they do in groups with us, and how we assess them. We can be quite radical about that, or I think we simply try and put out the fire and get back to where we were. I'm in favor of fireworks. I think we have the opportunity to have tremendous flexibility. If we can really redesign our educational systems, if we can design the way that we deliver business school teaching, for instance, I think we should find that we free up time. We'll stop double teaching and double doing things. We'll have more complementarity and we will have more alternatives. We'll have firm systems that allow one thing to substitute for another. And ultimately, that should make what is becoming a really unaffordable sector much more affordable, and people should be able to work much better in that environment. I think the really tough questions at the moment are what are we going to do with the many students who are getting a really quite difficult educational experience at the moment. They're not getting the fun that we had when we went through the university system. They're not getting the same access either to staff or to each other or to those other activities around the educational environment that we all enjoyed so much. The clubs, the learning, the whatever your specialty was, that was a big part of university for a lot of people, and it's very difficult to do at the moment. So I think we've got to change. I think we have the opportunity to change things for the better, but we will have to be radical about it. The platform is burning, and that does mean we have to change the way that we're going to do stuff. So there are a lot of tough questions for us to answer, but I think the prospects, if we can manage to do that, are that we could have better education for staff, better education for the institutions, and much better education for the students. If you want to talk, here are some ways that you might do it. Enjoy.